Yesterday, Sayadaw explained Deva is made up of two words, Deva and Dhamma. And Sayadaw explained what Deva means. And Sayadaw also explained on the types of Deva. Dhamma means nature or the practice, conduct. Deva Dhamma are the practices of the beings called Deva. Deva Dhamma are the wholesome deeds that make up the person to be called Deva. There are three types of Deva. The first one is Samudhi Deva. The second one is Upapatti Deva. And the third one is Visuddhi Deva. There are meanings mentioned in the text on the meaning of Deva. Mainly, Deva means being who are happy, joyous, satisfied. Among the three types of Deva, Samudhi Deva is the lowest. Based on Hiri and Ottappa, moral shame and moral fear, one commits wholesome deeds which are blameless, faultless, that bring good result. So in human being, one becomes a Samudhi Deva who becomes a ruler or a governor by popular acclaim. Based on Hiri and Ottappa, when one performs meritorious deeds, wholesome deeds, based on power of reasoning, power of prudence, one performs dana systematically, and one also performs other kind of meritorious deeds. As a result of these meritorious deeds, one becomes a ruler or governor. In the past, they are called Raja. Raja means ruler or king. People in the society of rulers and governors are called Samudhi Deva. Due to the result of their good deeds, they become high-class people, and they are called Samudhi Deva. Such kind of people, they are happy and they enjoy the pleasure of life. When one performs meritorious deeds, one can also become Deva. One can also become deity. When a person becomes a deity, and when one reaches the doorstep of the deity world, usually the deity becomes forgetful to perform wholesome deeds. In the life of a deity, they spend all of their time having pleasure, having fun with essential pleasure. All the time they have, they spend on sensual pleasure, and they still feel that not enough time to be enjoying pleasure. They keep on having fun with essential pleasure. All their time is wasted with sensual pleasure. As a deity, there is not much chance to do more meritorious deeds. In the deity world, at times they may have the chance to listen to the Dhamma talk given by a fellow deity, or at times there can be Dhamma talks given by a Brahma. And they can offer water, flower at the Julamani pagoda, and they can reflect on the virtues of the Triple Gem. These are the only wholesome deeds that they can done in the deity world. In the deity world, it is not easy, in fact it is impossible it is difficult to keep precepts, to keep sabbath. The king of the Deva found it very difficult to observe the 8 precepts, as the women deities tried to seduce the king of the Deva, and thus king of the Deva break his precept when he was seduced by the lady deities. So that's why it is said that in the deity world, it is difficult to keep 8 precepts, to observe Sabbath. So the king of the Deva had to come down to the human world in order to observe the 8 precepts, in order to keep Sabbath. In the human world, there is opportunity to perform various kinds of wholesome deeds. And in the human world, some people also do bad deeds. If one lacks hiri and ottappa, moral shame and moral fear, one will not be able to control himself, herself, and thus the person transgress evil conducts. Having moral shame and moral fear, having hiri and ottappa, one can control oneself, one can control one's behavior, one will withdraw from misconduct, and thus the person's body, speech and mind will be pure, clean, gentle, and lovable. Having hiri and ottappa, one's body, speech and mind can become pure and clean. As a deity, if one is wasting one's time solely on sensual pleasure, when the deity passes away, usually they are reborn in lower existences. That's why it is said that when one becomes a deity due to ordinary wholesome deed, and if the deity passes away, the deity can be reborn in lower existences. That's why it is said that becoming a deity as a result of ordinary wholesome deed can be called a profit, but such kind of profit is leading to loss. In the deity world, they are enjoying pleasure, sensual pleasure. These deities are called Upapati Deva, and they are happy, having fun with the sensual pleasure. Every life is impermanent. Every existence is impermanent, whether it is human existence, Deva existence, or Brahma existence. any kind of existence is impermanent. As a human, as a deva, they can enjoy sensual pleasure. If one thinks highly of the sensual pleasure, and if they are wasting their time solely with the sensual pleasure, such kind of pleasure is good, but such kind of sensual pleasure is fatal and dangerous. People who can give up the sensual pleasure, they come to the field where there is free from sensual pleasure. So people give up the sensual pleasure in order to gain the kind of happiness that excels many times than the worldly happiness. People who give up sensual pleasure in order to come to meditation retreat, they gain nekkhamma sukha, happiness of renunciation. When they practice meditation in order to develop the mind and the knowledge, when they gain concentration, there will be happiness of seclusion. By staying alone, there is kaya viveka, body seclusion of the body by staying alone. And when one develops concentration, when one's mind is away from defilements, there will be citta viveka, seclusion of the mind, away from defilements. In this way, there will be paviveka sukha, happiness of seclusion of both the mind and the body. For people who want to gain the Brahma happiness that excels many times than the worldly happiness, they practice lokiya jhana, supramundane concentration. Lokiya jhana, mundane kind of concentration practice. When they attain jhana, absorption, as a result of the absorption they attain, they become Brahma relative to their stage, relative to their levels of absorption. As a Brahma, they are happy, they are joyous with the jhana, absorption, and abhenya, supernormal knowledge. These Brahmas are also called upapatti deva. They are happy, they are enjoying their absorption, jhana, and they are happy with abhenyana, supernormal knowledge. Nivarana, hindrances, are the defilements that hinder wholesomeness to arise. Nivaranas are called hindrances because they hinder the arising of wholesome deeds. Nivaranas are also called cetaso upakilesa because they pollute the mind. They're also called panyaya dopalikarana because they weaken the knowledge. When one can suppress and calm these nivarana hindrances, one can gain lokiya jhana, one can gain mundane absorption. When one gains mundane absorption by calming, suppressing the nivarana hindrances, one can become a Brahma. One can become a Brahma by attaining absorption. As a Brahma, they enjoy the absorption they are happy with jhana absorption, and they're happy with abhiññāna, supernormal knowledge. But as a deva, as a deity, or as a Brahma, so long as they have not eradicated kilesa defilements, their jhana can be deprived. They can be deprived of their state when they are not totally free from kilesa defilements. When one has not eradicated kilesa defilements, one has not reached the stage of Visuddhi Deva, a pure being. One can become Visuddhi Deva, a pure being, only if one can uproot the defilements, only when one has removed and abandoned the defilements to the point of no return. In order to eradicate kilesa defilements, Satipatthana Bhavana, the mental development practice of Satipatthana, should be practiced. By practicing Satipatthana meditation, one can develop knowledge. One can develop knowledge into mind and matter, and then one can develop knowledge stage by stage. Developing Vipassana jnana, developing insight knowledge, one can weaken the defilements. Vipassana jnana, insight knowledge, can weaken the defilements. And when one Vipassana knowledge becomes mature, one finally realizes Nibbana, cessation. When one realizes Nibbana, cessation, the defilements that have been weakened by Vipassana jnana will be abandoned totally. When one removes and abandons the kilesa defilements totally to the point of no return, one becomes a Visuddhi Deva, a pure being. Even if one cannot extinguish all the defilements, but when one becomes a Sotapanna, extreme enterer, one has removed the apaya-relating defilements. Having abandoned the apaya-relating defilements, a Sotapanna can also be called Visuddhi Deva, a pure being. As a Sotapanna, the person has developed the mental strength. There will be sufficient mental strength in oneself as a Sotapanna. As a Sotapanna, the person, a Sotapanna, has developed strong faith and confidence. And also viriya, the courage to refrain from unwholesome deeds, the courage to perform wholesome deeds, have been sufficiently developed as a Sotapanna. And also, sati, samadhi, and panya, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom are strong. And hiri and ottappa, strong moral shame and moral fear, are developed sufficiently by a Sotapanna. Sayadaw gives an example by taking nutritious food, which are full of vitamins and minerals, the person becomes energized. In the same way, when a person has developed mental strength, such as saddha, viriya, sati, samadhi, and panya, the mental strength of faith and confidence, effort, mindfulness, concentration and knowledge, the person has the ability to have victory on oneself. Having developed these mental powers, mental strength, the person has the ability to govern oneself. Such a person will not be developing gross defilements based on sensual objects. At this stage, the person has victory on oneself, and the person becomes Aisariya. The person becomes a governor who has victory on oneself. Practicing Satipatthana meditation systematically, one will have victory on oneself. When the person gets to this stage, the person will be happy, joyous by having victory on oneself. And the person's own world will be peaceful. When one can govern oneself, when one has victory on oneself, the person's own world will be peaceful, as well as the surrounding world can also be peaceful, as the person has a good control of oneself. When the person has the quality of governing oneself, the person will become very happy, very joyous. There will be upasama sukha, happiness of tranquility, happiness of calmness. When one develops knowledge, there will be sambodha sukha, happiness of enlightenment. When the person gains sambodha sukha, the happiness of enlightenment, the person understands from his or her experience of practice that sambodha sukha, the happiness of enlightenment, excels all the other happiness. In order to have victory, in order to govern oneself, one needs the quality to govern oneself. Sayadaw gives an example. In the food, there are vitamins and minerals. If one does not take nutritious food, one will be weak and one will be malnutrition. In order to keep fit, one needs nutritious food, and also one needs to inhale fresh air. If one does not breathe fresh air, it is harmful for one's health. That's why it is very important to have vitamins and minerals from the food, and it is very important to inhale fresh air. Usually, people on this earth are more concerned about their physical health, and they're only physical health conscious. But some of the people are still, they are not health conscious. They do what they want. They eat what they want. But most of the people, they are only concerned about their physical health. But they do not know that they also need to take care of their spiritual health. They're taking nutritious food so that they can be healthy, they have enough strength to earn a living, to work for the family, and so on. But they do not put in necessary nutrition for the mind. So they lack spiritual nutrition, they lack spiritual strength. Lack of spiritual strength, when they find difficulties and problems in life, they do not have any spiritual stamina or any resistance in the mind. When they meet bad situations, when they meet problems, there can be problems such as depression, stress, depression, and so on. And some of them even commit suicide as they cannot take any longer. It shows that they are spiritually malnutritioned. In food, there is substance called nutriment. So in food, in the flavor, sweet, sour, pungent, bitter, and so on, in the food there is nutriment. When a baby is born, in the body there is nutriments that are produced by the karma, the deeds that have been done in the past. And also there are nutriments in the food. So in food there are nutriments in terms of vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C, vitamin D, and so on. Such kind of nutriments can produce new materiality in the body. Sayadaw explains how nutriments can do to the body. There are nutriments in food, also in drinking water, and also in fresh air. The nutriments from the food, from drinking water, and from fresh air can produce materiality. One should take suitable food that are nutritious. One should also take vitamin supplements, minerals, and one should inhale fresh air. By taking nutritious food, drinking pure drinking water, one will have Paṇḍitā Rupa, one will have healthy, good materiality by taking nutritious food, drinking water, and so on. Paṇḍitā means good, pleasant. By taking nutritious food, one's materiality will be healthy and fresh. This fact is more obvious in growing child. If one takes food that are not suitable, then there will be unhealthy materiality in one's body. No one can deny the fact that unsuitable food produces unhealthy materiality in the body. When one inhales filthy air, it can cause headache and it can cause illnesses. It is harmful for the health. By taking thick medicine, there are health problems by taking thick medicine. When people take thick medicine thinking it is the correct medicine, then one end up having a lot of health problems. So by taking unsuitable food, medicine, inhaling polluted air, filthy air, the person end up having illnesses. So people have to avoid unsuitable food, unsuitable medicine, filthy air, polluted air. When one is subject to such kind of unhealthy food, then one will be losing Paṇḍitā Rupa. One has to take care to eat nutritious food, vitamins, minerals, fresh air, drinking water, so that it will be conducive to one's own health. Just as nutrition is essential for one's body, in the same way, one needs spiritual nutrition for one's mind. Just as one needs to avoid unsuitable food, in the same way, there are things that should be refrained, and there are things that should be prevented, suppressed, cured, and uprooted. One should consider the example of nutrition that are needed for one's body. In the same way, there are spiritual nutritions that are needed for one's mind, and one should know what are the things that are essential for one's spiritual health. For one's spiritual health, yogis need to practice Satipatthana meditation. Just as people need to take meals regularly, just as people need to take 3 meals a day, in the same way, people need to have spiritual nutrition taken regularly. Fresh air is essential for beings every second. By inhaling polluted, filthy air, one can have illness such as headache and so on. So, fresh air is essential every single second for the health of the person. In the same way, spiritual nutritions are essential for the person. In order to gain spiritual nutrition, one should practice Satipatthana meditation. Satipatthana meditation is compared to fresh air that is essential every single second. And Saraji will continue to explain the next day. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.